0 hours 0 minutes and 0 seconds to 0 hours 0 minutes and 33 seconds. My parents looked me in the eye across the polished surface of their dining room table and told me they were selling my heart. They were selling the century-old family farm, the rolling hills I knew better than my own reflection, the ancient oak tree my great-grandfather had planted, the rambling farmhouse that held every happy memory of my childhood. And they were selling it all to fund my brother's ridiculously lavish wedding. They told me his happiness, a single day of extravagant celebration, was more. 0 hours 0 minutes and 34 seconds to 0 hours 1 minute and 6 seconds. Important than our entire family's history. They had no idea that the wealthy, mysterious man they were selling it to was my secret business partner, and that I would be the one to give the final binding word on the deal. The announcement came, as most of my family's decrees did, during a tense Sunday dinner. The air was already thick with the cloying sweetness of my brother Leo's self-satisfaction. He and his new fiancée, a woman named Tiffany, with diamonds in her ears and ice in her. 0 hours 1 minute and 6 seconds to 0 hours 1 minute and 41 seconds. Veins, were holding court describing in nauseating detail the wedding they were planning. It was a production worthy of a royal family involving a guest list of 300, a 10-piece band and a custom-designed dress that cost more than my car. I had been listening in quiet disbelief, wondering how they could possibly afford such a spectacle. My father and my uncle's construction company, the business that had supported our family for 50 years, was, I knew, struggling to stay afloat. And then my father cleared his throat and 0 hours 1 minute and 43 seconds to 0 hours 2 minutes and 16 seconds. The shoe I had been waiting for finally dropped. Kids, he began, looking at Leo and me, though his gaze slid past me almost immediately. Your mother and I have some wonderful news. We've been thinking long and hard about how to give you, Leo, and your lovely fiancé, the wedding you truly deserve. A proper start to your new life together. My mother beamed, reaching over to squeeze Tiffany's hand. We know things have been a bit tight lately, but some things are more important than money. Family is more important. The 0 hours 2 minutes and 19 seconds to 0 hours 2 minutes and 53 seconds. Irony of that statement was a physical, bitter taste in my mouth. I felt a cold dread begin to creep up my spine. I knew what was coming. So my father continued, looking at me, his eyes full of a sort of preemptive apology. We've made a decision. We're putting the farm on the market. We've already had a very generous offer from a private investor. It's more than enough to cover the wedding and give you a very comfortable nest egg, son. The room erupted. Leo and Tiffany were ecstatic, hugging my 0 hours 2 minutes and 55 seconds to 0 hours 3 minutes and 29 seconds. Parents, their faces alight with greedy, triumphant joy. Oh my God, Dad, you're the best, Leo shouted. Tiffany was already pulling out her phone, no doubt to upgrade the floral arrangements. I just sat there, the fork frozen halfway to my mouth. The sounds of their celebration faded into a dull roaring in my ears. The farm. They were selling the farm. They were selling the porch swing where my grandmother taught me to read. They were selling the barn where my grandfather taught me how to drive a tractor. They, 0 hours 3 minutes and 30 seconds to 0 hours 4 minutes and 4 seconds. Were selling the creek where I spent my summers. The apple orchard that smelled like heaven in the autumn. The very soil that held the roots of my entire identity. No, I finally whispered, the word a small broken sound in the midst of their jubilation. They all stopped and looked at me, their happy expressions turning to annoyance. What do you mean no? My mother asked, her tone sharp. You can't sell the farm, I said, my voice growing stronger. Dad, that's Grandpa's legacy. It's our 0 hours 4 minutes and 5 seconds to 0 hours 4 minutes and 42 seconds. History. You can't just sell it for a party. It's not just a party. Nina, my brother said, rolling his eyes. It's my wedding. It's the start of my future. And what about our past? I shot back, my voice rising with a passion I rarely showed them. What about Grandpa? What about everything he and Grandma built? We can find another way. I have savings. I can help. We can take out a loan. We don't have to erase our entire history for a single day of extravagance. My aunt's cruel words from years ago echoed. 0 hours 4 minutes and 42 seconds to 0 hours 5 minutes and 13 seconds. In my head, dreamy Sophie. Now I was sentimental Nina, the impractical one who cared more about old trees than her own brother's happiness. My mother's face hardened. Don't be so selfish, Nina, she said, her voice cold. Your little savings, as you call them, wouldn't even cover the catering for a wedding like this. You're just being jealous because your brother has found someone and is able to have the kind of celebration you never did. The cruelty of her words was breathtaking. 0 hours 5 minutes and 15 seconds to 0 hours 5 minutes and 49 seconds. She was right. My own wedding to my ex-husband had been a small, simple affair at a courthouse, but it had been my choice. To have her throw it in my face now as a weapon to justify this desecration of our family's memory was a new low, even for her. I looked at my father, my last hope. Dad, please. He wouldn't meet my eyes. He just stared down at his plate, shrugging his shoulders. It's decided, Nina. Your brother deserves this. That was it. The final verdict. My brother deserved to. 0 hours 5 minutes and 52 seconds to 0 hours 6 minutes and 28 seconds. Have his lavish party, and I deserve to have my heart ripped out and sold to the highest bidder. I pushed my chair back from the table, my appetite gone, my soul aching with a grief so profound it felt like a physical illness. Excuse me, I said, my voice a choked whisper. I'm not feeling well. I fled their house, their renewed, cheerful chatter about wedding venues and honeymoon destinations chasing me out the door. I drove home in a blur of tears and a white-hot, impotent rage. They had dismissed my love, my 0 hours 6 minutes and 29 seconds to 0 hours 7 minutes and 3 seconds. History, my very being is simple sentimentality. They saw the farm as a simple asset to be liquidated. They couldn't see that they weren't just selling land, they were selling my soul. I sat in my own quiet apartment, a place that was modern, successful, and a world away from the dreamy girl they all still saw me as. I looked at the old framed photograph on my mantelpiece, a picture of me as a little girl sitting on my grandfather's lap on the porch of the farmhouse. His arm was wrapped around me, his face. 0 hours 7 minutes and 5 seconds to 0 hours 7 minutes and 39 seconds. Crinkled in a wide, loving smile. My tears subsided, and the grief in my chest began to cool. Hardening into a cold, diamond-hard resolve. They had made their decision. They thought the sale was a done deal. They thought the final word was theirs. But my grandfather hadn't just taught me how to drive a tractor. He had taught me how to be patient, how to be strategic, and how to protect the things you love. I won't let them do it, Grandpa, I whispered to the photograph. I promise. They thought the story was over. But I